In that case, we'll wait. On Friday, March 1st, and we are back in session. The Board of Behavioral Sciences is meeting at the Department of Consumer Affairs, Lou Galliano Hearing Room, 1625 North Market Boulevard, Suite 102, Sacramento, California, 95834. I'd like to call the meeting to order and establish a quorum, please, Christina.
Good morning. Deborah Brown.
Here.
Jonathan Maddox.
Here.
Rika Stout.
Here.
Dr. Peter Chu, Dr. Christine Wittlisbach,
Here.
Max Disposti,
Here.
Betty Conley,
Here.
Dr. Leah Brew,
Here.
Christina Wong,
Here.
Alexander Kim.
Here.
For the record, Gabriel Lamb is absent. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Can we start with introductions? And for today, let's start over on my left with Deborah Brown.
Okay. My name is Deborah Brown. I'm public member.
I'm Jonathan Maddox. I'm MFT member.
Becca Stout, LMFT member.
Peter Chu, public member.
Christine Wittlisbach, public member.
Max Disposti, public member.
Betty Conley, LEP member.
Leah Brew, LPCC member.
Christine Wong, LCSW member.
Alexander Kim, public member.
Okay, and with that, we're going to move into our petitions, Judge. It's all yours.
Thank you. Let's open the record then. The first matter is in the matter of the petition for modification of probation of Agustin Ulysses Garcia. Did I come close on that first name?
Yeah, close enough. Yes.
Okay. All right, this is agency case number 2002-016-000039. This matter bears Office of Administrative Hearings, case number 2019-01-0828. My name is Carl Engelman, Administrative Law Judge assigned to hear this matter, and as noted previously, we were convened on March 1, 2019. All right, Ms. Heim, would you state your appearance for the record, please?
Yes, thank you. Patricia Weber Heim, appearing on behalf of the people of the state of California pursuant to Government Code Section 11522.
Thank you. Mr. Garcia, did you understand, sir, that had you wished, you could have been represented by an attorney at your own expense today?
Yes.
Okay, you're going to represent yourself, right?
Yes.
Okay. Let me explain a little bit about the process today. What we will do today is I will ask Ms. Weber-Heim first for a presentation about your license history, what led to the discipline, what you're seeking today. Following that, if you wish to address the board, which I assume you do, I will swear you in. You may make your comments to the board members. Ms. Weber-Heim will have an opportunity to ask questions of you first, and then board members will ask questions. When all the questioning has been completed, then you will have the opportunity for a closing statement, and then the matter will be submitted, the record will be closed, and the board will meet today in executive session, decide your matter and the matter that follows, and will send to you and the other petitioner a written decision relating to your petition. Do you understand what I've just explained to you?
I understand.
Okay. Also, I think, I'm fairly sure what will happen is there'll be a request to seal certain mental evaluation records, and I will ask you if you have any objection to that. I assume you don't have any objection.
No, I
Okay. So I'll, in all likelihood, I'll grant that order, and those records will be sealed, all right, for review only by board members and any reviewing court. Okay, I think with that, I'm going to ask, because we're on the second day of hearings, I'm going to ask the board members, even though you did this yesterday, to identify yourselves for the record.
Alexander Kim, public member.
Christina Wong, LCSW member.
Leah Brew, LPCC member.
Betty Conley, LEP member.
Max Disposti, public member.
Christine Wittlisbach, public member.
Peter Chu, public member.
Becca Stout, LMFT member.
Jonathan Maddox, MFT member.
Deborah Brown, public member.
Okay, thank you. All right, Ms. Heim, proceed.
Thank you. I will first mark for identification of various exhibits that have been provided both to the judge, to the board members, and to the petitioner previously. And I will follow that with a summary of the facts of the petitioner's matter. So in the document that has been provided to the judge and to the petitioner, it's divided into exhibits. And so pre-marked for identification as Exhibit 1 is the petitioner's petition for modification of probation and the various attachments that include character letters, court information regarding the dismissal of his conviction, continuing education, and quarterly reports. And this petition is dated November 12th of 2018. Pre-marked for identification as Exhibit 2 is the stipulated settlement and disciplinary order, which was effective November 1st of 2017, and it has the attached accusation number 200-2016-000039, dated January 24th, 2017. Pre-marked as Exhibit 3, which has been accepted as a it is being requested to be filed under seal. This document and Exhibit 4 are being requested to be filed under seal. The request and the proposed order have been provided to the judge. And this document consists of the psychological evaluation, and also pre-marked as Exhibit 4 is the petitioner's psychotherapy quarterly reports. Pre-marked as Exhibit 5 is the notification of this hearing to the petitioner. And pre-marked as Exhibit 6 is the certification of petitioner's licensure history. And at this time, I would offer Exhibits 1 through 6 into evidence, with Exhibits 3 and 4 accepted under a protective order and withheld from the public record.
Okay, first, any objection to my receipt and evidence of any of those exhibits, Mr. Garcia?
I would think not, no.
I'm sorry?
No.
What?
I agree, I guess.
Well,
What was the question?
are you unsure these documents that I've asked you to review before we went on the record
Yes.
are being offered into evidence today? So that means they can be considered by the board in the resolution of your petition. So do you have any objection to my receiving these in evidence for those purposes?
No objection.
Okay, so 1 through 6 are received. And I asked you this earlier, but I'll ask you again. With respect to 3 and 4, the psychiatric or psychological evaluation and the psychotherapy quarterly reports, Ms. Weber is asking that those matters be sealed as confidential. As I explained earlier, that means they can be considered only by the board members and any reviewing court. Okay, not by others. Do you have any objection to my sealing those documents?
No, I don't.
Okay, so the order is granted. Those documents will remain under seal. All right, please continue.
Thank you. At this time, I will read a summary. Petitioner was issued an Associate Marriage and Family Therapist intern registration on or about February 7th, 2012. And said registration was in full force and effect at all times relevant to the charges brought against him. AMFT 69668 was canceled on February 28, 2018, due to reaching the 6-year limit. Mr. Garcia was issued a subsequent Associate Marriage and Family Therapist registration, AMFT 104127, on January 9th, 2018. On May 4th, 2016, Mr. Garcia was convicted of a DUI. On July 6th, 2015, Mr. Garcia was observed driving 90 miles per hour in a 55 mile per hour zone. When California Highway Patrol approached Mr. Garcia, he exhibited signs of alcohol impairment and failed to cooperate with field sobriety tests. His blood alcohol level subsequently was determined to be 0.19%. An accusation was filed on January 24, 2017, and the board adopted the stipulated settlement and disciplinary order, which immediately revoked, stayed, and placed the petitioner on probation for 4 years with optional and standard terms and conditions effective November 1st, 2017. Petitioner is requesting modification of probation, and he is not represented by an attorney. Regarding the terms and conditions of his probation, his psychological evaluation was completed on February 26, 2018. He is fully compliant in submitting psychotherapy quarterly reports. He is fully compliant in participating in a dependency support program. He completed remedial education on July 12, 2018. He is fully compliant with biological fluid testing, and he paid his cost recovery in full. and he is fully compliant with the standard terms and conditions, including submitting quarterly reports and paying reimbursement costs for the probation program. At this time, I will reserve questioning until after the petitioner's statement.
Okay. Thank you very much. All right, Mr. Garcia, do you wish to address the board this morning?
Yes.
Okay, would you please stand, raise your right hand to be sworn? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that any testimony you give in this proceeding shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. Please be seated. And would you please state your name for the record?
My name is Agustin Ulysses Garcia.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Garcia.
I kind of want to start off by saying I made a really bad choice in about 4 years ago. I really don't, I can't, which brought me here. I've done, I try to, make up for it by doing everything to make things right. I followed all the directives in which the court has given to me, not only from the BBS, but from Fullerton, Orange County Court.
Mr. Garcia, if you look over to your right shoulder, right over there, there's a court reporter, and she has to take down everything that you are saying, and I'm closer to you than she is, and I'm having a really hard time hearing. Okay. So you might want to lift the microphone up a little bit and then speak up, all right?
Okay.
Okay, so you followed all the board's directives, and then?
I've followed everything I've had to do to correct my wrongs. I'm here to share with you guys that things that have changed. I've done some self-care. I've implemented some workout routines. I've lost about 25 pounds. I've picked up some hobbies, woodworking, to keep me busy. I'm under the firm understanding now that alcohol doesn't complement me well. I don't drink anymore. I've made that a personal decision. The cost, not only financially, but time that I spend with my family has really taken a toll on me, stressfully. Trying to keep up with all the probation stipulations that I put upon myself. It has some deep effects on me and my family, stressfully. And I've traveled 400 miles to come, hopefully, get some relief. That's about it.
Okay, before Ms. Heim asks her questions, let me ask you to specify what it is you're seeking by way of modification of the probationary terms.
At this time, I'm committed to going to 2 AA meetings a week, which average about 3 hours a week. Travel time would probably be more like 4 hours a week. I'm asking to reduce that to 1 time a week, as well as psychotherapy services, which equals up to 1 hour a week. With travel time, I moved, so it's about 3 hours traveling, 1 hour there and 1 hour back. I'm asking to reduce that to every other week or 2 times a month, as well as the drug testing, which is random, which the economic cost of that is about $100 a test, which came out to last year to about over $5,000, and which has accumulated to this year from November 1st, complete year, to about $1,176. And I'm asking to dissolve that. It's really, not only has it put a financial toll on me and my family, but it is also stressful. Waking up in the morning, once I get word that I have to go get tested, I go get tested, late to work, have to stay later to work, come home later, as well as all the meetings that I have to endure to. I can't come home, help out with household chores, help my son with homework. It's just really been tough. And I do understand I've done it to myself.
Okay, the meetings, you're asking those be reduced to what?
To dissolve.
Oh, to dissolve,
To be dissolved.
Okay.
I
Ms. Heim, do you have questions?
Yes, thank you. I will probably not look at you always because I'm making sure that I'm loud in the microphone, but I'm asking them to you directly. My first question is that you were ordered to reimburse the board costs of $712.50. Have you done this?
Yes.
Do you have any criminal convictions that this board is unaware of?
No.
Are there any current criminal or civil charges pending against you in this state or in any other jurisdiction?
No.
You were convicted of an offense involving alcohol and motor vehicles. What assurances can you give the board that your past conduct is behind you?
The fact that this is my career. Went to school. I've studied. I have countless experience in it. I'm good at what I do. I don't want to give it up. I now know that alcohol does not complement me well and doesn't cooperate with me. And I do know, I'm under the impression if I do drink, it is pretty much giving it up. I'm not going to lose all that for a drink.
You mentioned today and also in your petition that you've implemented more self-care and hobbies such as woodworking, and that keeps you busy. So what did you do with your time before you initiated these activities?
I work. Instead of more time with family, I would spend it, doing more home improvements, more time with my son.
Let me stop you. I'm actually asking because you were talking about the things that you did to improve yourself now, but it made it sound like there was something that you were doing previously before implementing self-care.
Oh,
And I'm asking what those things were.
My time is limited due to the probation stipulations. My extra time I would have if I didn't have to abide by the consistent meetings and the getting up early and getting tested would go ultimately to my family. The woodworking I've always done, but I've picked up a little bit more in the self-care. I've gained a little bit of weight after the incident, my indiscretion, and I've lost some weight trying to, get myself back in order with my, what I've done to myself. Excuse me? What I've done to myself due to getting the DUI. And with that, I've lost time with my family. I lost financial income towards my family. Those are the stuff I would do before.
Thank you. Do you have a sobriety date?
I pretty much stopped drinking after the DUI. That would have to be like 4 years ago. I don't have a specific date. Between then, I got married, and I remember doing a champagne toast at my wedding. I can't honestly say I don't remember the last time I took a drink, and it'd probably have to be at my wedding. I was just very disappointed in myself and what I'd done to myself and my family.
You said you attended AA meetings. Do you have a sponsor?
I do not have a sponsor. I go to an AA meeting at my lunch break from work, and I do have a home meeting by the house or by my old residence, which I go to. It's called the Friendship Club in Orange County.
Thank you. Why do you want to cease or reduce the frequency of your biological fluid testing?
I believe I've proven that I don't drink. The financial toll that is taken, along with the stress of having to check in, and when 5 o'clock rolls around every day, I think to myself, because I check in as soon as 5 a.m. in the morning. Some days I work long hours, and sometimes days seem all in the same. And thinking to myself, did I check in this day, or looking back at it and, starting to worry about, just to stay compliant with the Board of Behavioral Sciences probation stipulations is really strenuous, and it's taken its toll on me. Moreover, I feel that I can do this. I don't need to be checked up on. It's $100 a pop every time I go in and check up and do a urine sample. I have to expose myself to somebody, a stranger. When I get called in, I check in the first thing in the morning, and I try to take care of it. Once I get notification that I have to go, I go down. It takes about an hour. I show up to work late, therefore extends my day, and it takes away from my family.
Thank you. Have you taken any other rehabilitative or corrective measures since your revocation?
I really don't have much more time to do anything else but to do what the board is telling me to, and to pick up hobbies that don't allow me to be around places. My families are not big drinkers. My friends aren't big drinkers. I just made a bad choice one day. And I don't have too much extra time on my hands to do anything other than work, get home, and try to make up for lost time.
Thank you. What can you tell the board to assure them that you will continue to comply with your probation if it is modified?
That I love my family.
Thank you.
Okay, board questions starting to my left, please.
I have no questions at this time.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for coming in today. I appreciate your time. I just have a couple of questions. So can you say a little bit more about the coping skills and self-care strategies that you have developed? I was just reading through some of your documentation, and something that was annotated was, in the past, when you become stressed or overwhelmed, alcohol was a way to cope. And I know that it was directly connected to the accident that you had. But I'm just wondering could you talk to the board about the things that you do now to take care of yourself?
Yeah, I did develop a really bad habit. I work for the U.S. Forest Service as a land surveyor and a forest firefighter. and I had crushed the left side of my face. And in doing that, I had three major reconstructive surgeries on my face, and I picked up a really bad habit of coping with, drinking a lot. This is back close to 20 years ago, my early 20s. What I do now, that supplements the stress relief and stuff, is I work out, I read, I have friends that I talk to, therapists that I see, friends, colleagues that I'm able to, talk about things that are going on in my life. I guess that's pretty much what I did.
Thank you. And then a second question I have is, I was reading, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, you stated that the evening of this incident, you were at a party at a friend's house, and you had planned to spend the night. You had been drinking, you had planned to spend the night, but you all of a sudden woke up disoriented and thought that you should leave, and so you got in your car and left. And I was, could you speak a little bit more about what happened?
Yeah, it was when the girls won the World Cup for the U.S. We were watching the soccer game, and we were drinking, and we were having a good time. As old buddy from high school. We were just reconnecting, and we had a great time. And there's a point where I came to, I was like, yeah, I shouldn't drive. I'm gonna spend the night, and I spend the night and wake up in the morning. So we finished drinking. We had something to eat. I fell asleep. I woke up and I said, I feel fine. I feel good. This is what I was telling myself, at least. Washed up, and then I said, I think I can drive home. And that's pretty much how it happened.
Okay. Do you recall if you checked in with anyone before you left? I don't know if there were other people awake that you bounced that off of, or did you just get to the car?
Everybody was asleep at that time, and I didn't want to wake them. So there was a bedroom that I was sleeping in, so I woke up in the bedroom. I remember washing up in the restroom and thinking to myself, I think I'm okay to drive. I slept it off, and but I would like to say that there was no reason to drink to that excess, to where alcohol would still be in my system at that time. I take responsibility for that.
Thank you. I don't have any further questions.
Thank you for coming. I deeply hear that this is a personal decision for you, and that you love your family, and that your plan is to stay sober and to continue to be a good therapist. But like all plans, things change, and I still need to hear a little bit more about what your backup plan is. Who are your support people? What is your actual work that you're doing personally to support yourself?
The people that I talk to are friends, colleagues, my family, my mother, my father, my brothers. The type of the extracurricular activities, what I'm hearing you say, the stuff that I do when I have spare time, I would be work on myself, to keep my constitution in order.
Maybe I could say, let's say something stressful happens.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about? How do you process that? What do you do?
For instance, coming here is stressful.
Yes.
Last night I went to the 24-hour fitness. I worked out. Gave a friend a phone call, letting him know that what I'm up to and what I'm doing. Journal. I write. Not once has drinking come to mind, and in fact, it's very just the thought of alcohol just kind of, rubs me the wrong way now, knowing that what it's done to me and what position it's put me in. It's not an option.
And my last question is, with your time in AA, have you been working the steps?
Yeah. Well, how can I've learned a lot through AA. I found the value is, hearing the stories. It's kind of what I go for. And a lot of the stories, are far from my story. But it gives me an understanding of what happens to individuals when they drink. It gives me an understanding that although they might not be my stories, they very well could be if I continue or if I choose to drink again. The steps, the first 3 steps from my understanding is, giving yourself up to a higher power. The next 4 is to right the wrongs and to acknowledge and to work on yourself. And the last 3 is to give back, to kind of give back what you're receiving, just to attend meetings, to be a sponsor, and to be there for the others and share your experiences.
Very good. Thank you.
Good morning, and thank you for coming. Do you consider yourself an alcoholic?
Yeah, I put myself in positions to where I can honestly say that I put my career at risk. I've put myself at risk. I've put other people at risk, and like I mentioned before, alcohol does not complement me well. So I'm confident in saying that, yeah, I do have a problem with alcohol.
So what is your understanding of your relationship with alcohol, or why you drank in the past?
Excuse me?
What is your understanding, your relationship with alcohol? Or another way to put it, do you know why you drank in the past? Is it because of when you were stressful, or?
When I was working for the U.S. Forest Service, I was in a very traumatic accident. Crushed the left side of my face, and in that I had to go through some extensive reconstructive facial surgeries. With that, I had some downtime. This is before I even started going to school to become a marriage family therapist. I would scare children in public, with my facial deformities. So I kind of stood away from public, and every now and then I'd go out and drink, and I'd drink a little bit too much, and I developed a really bad habit of drinking a lot. Since then, I put myself back in school, got my degree, and started working as a marriage family therapist. I didn't drink every day. I didn't even drink every week. But the times that I did drink, the repercussions of going through that traumatic experience and event is I've developed a bad habit. Is when I drank too much. Never really kind of getting in trouble, except for the DUI. And so that is the repercussion of the trauma in which I experienced with the U.S. Forest Service. And I am under a firm understanding that it would never be a problem again if I never take a drink again.
Hi, thank you for coming. So you don't have a sponsor right now?
No.
Have you ever had one?
For AA?
Right.
No, I have never had a sponsor. I guess I've never really been approached to get a sponsor. I've never really kind of, reached out to get a sponsor. When I've gone to the meetings, I've participated, and I've shared, and I've listened. For the most part, I go and listen. As far as the sponsor is concerned, I have a therapist.
Okay.
I practice the steps, and I'm getting to know. I got to know the program. I spent a lot of time there.
Okay.
I've got to know a couple of people there. I can't really say I hang out there because I don't have any time to hang out with anybody. But not that I'm refusing the sponsor. It's just that it just hasn't I guess, met someone or found the wrong fit. I'm open to becoming a sponsor if needed, if someone is in the need.
Right. Have you done any service at the AA group?
Other than, helping out with bringing food sometimes, or doing, cleaning up or putting chairs away. If they need something, whether it be fixing something around there, I've helped fix a window once, and that's about it. You gotta understand, I'm on a tight schedule, so I'm kind of coming and going
Yeah.
I have very few time, and the time I do have, I like to spend it with my family.
Yeah. So you say you practice the steps. Have you worked through the steps? Have you worked through the steps?
The step that I'm actually kind of figuring out right now, and actually going through right now, is asking for forgiveness, and this is part of it, I guess.
Okay. One just final question. You don't have to say the actual name of the person, but who did you do your fifth step with?
Myself.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Garcia, thank you for being here. I don't have any further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming in. You've worked really hard, and you really, really care about your family, and this has been a hard experience, and I appreciate that. I guess I'm trying to understand, our role is not to punish you or make your life hard, even though that's been somewhat of a result. It really is to make sure that you are safe to practice and to protect the public, and to make sure that the process that you're going through is moving you along in that direction. Do you have, when you wrote something that said, when it said what was the impact of the event, the driving, the DUI, and you said it put you in danger, which it did, but then you said, and potentially others. Could you talk a little bit more about your understanding kind of the reason that we're asking you about this now, and why we would ask you about your understanding of what it was that got you to this point?
Yeah. Yes. I'll address the first part first. I take full responsibility. I don't put it on the board about my probation stipulations. This is something I did to myself. The probation and the stipulations which I'm going through, this is something that this is my doing. This is not the board. This is something that's in place that gets implemented due to my behavior. Now with the DUI and potential, I didn't hurt anybody. I didn't hurt myself. I didn't hurt anybody else. But there was great potential into doing so. I guess that's why I mentioned it, and maybe I should have said potentially hurting myself as well. But there was no physical harm done, but there could have been great physical harm done to myself and another.
One last thing. It sounds like you're really wrestling or struggling with identifying as being an alcoholic. I mean, you say yes, but it sounds like that's hard for you. Is it hard for you to actually acknowledge that that's kind of an ongoing issue, perhaps?
I think it's a fair statement. But it's really difficult being the one sitting in this chair, having these questions asked, knowing that I'm the person that has to answer them.
Hi. You had said earlier that you sort of remember maybe your wedding was being the last time that you had a sip of champagne, and I wanted to congratulate you. It sounds like that was recent. When did you get married?
2017.
2017, okay. I just want to be clear about something. You had said that you use a lot of qualifiers, like pretty much and kind of, and I just want to make sure, when you're off of probation, do you plan on ever drinking again?
No.
No, okay. I just wanted to make sure that. I keep hearing from you that the reason you drove drunk were based on poor coping mechanisms and bad choice. And it doesn't seem like you have much insight about the reasons for those behaviors. So I want to invite you to think about that the need to escape and using alcohol, even escaping because you're having fun watching a sports event, that you're so drunk that you could go to sleep and wake up and still be drunk, means something. It's not just a poor choice. I would like to see you do some work in your therapy and make better use of AA for you to understand what pain you're covering up, or if it's low self-esteem. I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but there's something much deeper going on here. And I want to invite you to make this a transformative experience instead of an experience full of shame. Because you seem like a really good guy in there, and I think there's more work that you could do. I don't know. Is there more insight you could offer me other than bad choices or bad coping?
I would first want to lead with thank you, and I would definitely take your suggestions into consideration. I'll exercise those out with my therapist. I believe one of the things I said was I take responsibility for drinking so much.
I hear that you do take responsibility, and
I shouldn't.
That's a good start, but that's just the start of it. It's not about...
Are you talking about the reason why I drank so much?
Well, you said to cope. I think there's something even deeper going on. I'm not sure what your training involved, but I'm thinking more psychodynamically oriented things that you might explore in terms of your lifestyle, the way you move through life, expectations that you have for yourself. And I don't know, maybe it was the accident, maybe you partied a lot before the accident and it sounds like binge drinking is your challenge rather than the everyday kind of alcoholic.
That is correct.
Yeah. So I'll just finish by saying there's something deeper going on, and I have a feeling we'll see you back here again, and I really want to see some insight about some pain that you're not looking at right now. Okay, thank you.
And thanks, Dr. Brew, for kind of laying the background, for my questions. So, so I actually want to know, the focus of your therapy, whether you look at clearly about, the relationship between your traumatic events and also your drinking. Have you done any of these, talking in this area?
Yes, I have.
So what is your understanding for your, that correlations apart from just coping? Coping is, it's what you're doing. But like like Dr. Bruce said, there's something deeper. What is that, you discover about yourself, that relationship with alcohol?
What I discovered of myself was I really thought poorly of myself, and I didn't think I could socialize without it, and it accompanied me with socializing. The alcohol accompanied, and it allowed me to socialize with it, in which I thought, which was my underlining type of thing that was going on with myself, and it turned into something that was really damaging, and it became habitual to a point where I normalized it, and it ended up, started really hurting me. And it has hurt me, and it will continue to hurt me.
Right. So, so have you worked on your self-esteem in that area?
Most definitely. That was the going to school part, coaching, working outside, having friends. I go golfing with friends when I have time. You gotta understand, there's not too much time to do any extra stuff outside of keeping up with probation stipulations. I would like to do more stuff like coaching and have more free time to spend with my family and to prove to the BBS that I can exist without drinking. But at this time, I'm spending all my efforts in, trying to meet the probation stipulations.
So I would really encourage you, the same line with Dr. Bruce said, to really look at, yourself. It's not so much about what you do. It's really about how you look at yourself, and your relationship with the alcohol. Again, to gain a better insight, how that, is gonna, is affecting, yourself as a mechanism and your relationship with your family, your relationship with the others, your work, and as the most important is as a therapist, because you are a therapist. If you're not healthy, we can't guarantee that, you will be, a healthy practitioner. So, and let me ask you another follow-up question. So, so you were required to do drug testing and go to AA and individual therapy. So what do you find is most helpful for you?
I found that's what's most helpful for me would probably be the AA meetings, hearing the stories, participating, sharing, as well as the therapy.
So now, okay, so if you choose AA, and you previously mentioned that you mostly just listen to the story, and you also said that, there's your story is very different than them, right? Is that what you mentioned?
I also participate as well.
How often do you speak in AA meeting?
It all depends on if there's a lot of people in the room, and if there's a small number of people in the room, if the topic of the day is relevant, and if I'm the type of day I'm having, it depends on. I don't know how familiar you are with AA, but the comfortability with people inside the room, and kind of finding my place and saying that, hey, I have really something to share that can help the room out, or if me just listening to the individuals in the room is doing my service by being part of the meeting. It's really it's me being part of it in its whole. So my participation sometimes is the listening, and sometimes my participation is sharing. You mentioned my relationship with alcohol, and and how I see it is that me and alcohol do not cooperate. Me and alcohol do not get along. I've developed a relationship, and it's a very bad one. And I know that now, and I am searching to find how that relationship began, to understand why did I depend on it for so long. And I think that's what you're searching for. That's what you want to hear. But I've gone through that. And I've talked to my therapist about that as well. And I've been a firm understanding that the reasons why I've connected with it were all for the wrong reasons.
I'm glad you said that. So, but also on the, a very important thing is that, we don't have a particular image, about, what we wanted to hear. It's really not about what you said to us, because the burden of proof, is really on you. So, we will hear what you have to say, and then we will decide, So, so bear in mind that, it's really not about that, you have to answer, there's no right or wrong answer. So, yeah, but I'm glad that you are addressing, the relationship with, with alcohol, in your therapy session. I think it's a really, really good start. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your concern.
Hi, I don't have questions, but I do appreciate your story and your continued progress. You've been through a lot, and it's very commendable. So, thank you.
Okay, any further, yes?
Could you briefly just tell me your sobriety date?
My sobriety date would, my wedding was in June 8th. We got married the 18th, and we came back to the house and had the reception on was it a week after? So it had to be in June 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25th?
June 25th?
2017.
2017? Okay, thank you.
Okay, any further board questions? No? Any further questions by you, Ms. Hyde?
I have one. You were commenting on going to school and having that have an effect on your drinking, but I looked and I noticed that your internship with the board happened in 2012, and you didn't receive your associate MFT until 2018, and your conviction was in 2016. So what were your drinking habits while you were an intern, before you received your conviction?
So what I'm understanding you say is how did I go about drinking while I was an intern and before?
What I'm trying to suss out here is that you had commented that going to school changed your behavior, but you were participating in this program before you received your conviction. So in the early 2010, 2012, before your conviction in 2016, what was your pattern with drinking?
I guess what I'm hearing you ask is, how do I coexist with alcohol beforehand?
Correct.
Okay. I'm not really one to have alcohol at the house. When we would have a gathering, people would come over and, bring some beer, or when I would go places to either a sporting event or a family gathering, there would be a beer or something, alcohol beverages, and I would drink there. Not at all events that I get, did I overdrink? At times I've only had one drink. Times that I didn't even have a drink. There's only a very few members of my friends that I really feel comfortable drinking to an excess. And even those friends now are, kind of feel bad that, this has all happened, and they support me in my sobriety as well.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Okay, Mr. Garcia, so now's your opportunity to essentially give us a summary of your position. The board members have listened very carefully to everything you've said. You don't have to repeat yourself, but just any closing remarks?
I've came here before you guys and with great humility to just give me the benefit of the doubt and take into consideration that I'm in a process right now of asking forgiveness. A lot of, some with my family, but mostly for myself. And I assure you that I'm done with alcohol.
Okay. Thank you. With that, the matter is submitted. The record is closed. Before you leave, the court reporter is going to give you a document by which you can request a transcript if you're so inclined. And as I mentioned earlier, the board will meet in executive session after they hear the next petition, decide both matters, and you will be sent the written decision of the board on your petition. Any questions?
No.
Thank you for appearing.
Thank you.